how do you know she's not coming back? That's the real question, and for many men it becomes the most important one. And I do have an answer. Why doesn't turn out this way? Because when a breakup happens in the middle of that stress, a man tries to plan his future. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine your microwave suddenly breaks. It was stylish, good looking, you really liked it, you were used to it, which matters. You paid a lot of money for it at some point, and you absolutely loved how it warmed up your breakfast burrito every morning. Then it breaks. You wake up in your underwear, walk into the kitchen, and realize you are probably eating cold food today. You don't like that. And now you have only two options. Option one, accept that it needs to be replaced and start looking for alternatives. Maybe cook on the stove, maybe use the oven, maybe figure something else out. Sure, you could buy a new microwave, but maybe you can't afford it right now, which means you'd need to take some extra steps. In any case, it requires effort. And let's be honest, we are lazy by nature and we get very attached to whatever already feels comfortable. Now, here is option two. You read somewhere online that there is a warranty, that there is a chance that one day you'll hear a knock on the door and a courier will deliver either the exact same microwave brand new or your old one repaired, and everything will go back to the way it was. And the best part, you don't really have to do anything, you just wait. That thought is extremely tempting, and that's exactly the temptation many men face after a breakup, to just wait. Because it's easier. But here is the dangerous part. When a man chooses to wait instead of adapting to reality, if his future planning is not based on independence, if there is a broken part of his life that needs replacing, but instead he allows himself to remain dependent and just waits, slowly, quietly going a little crazy. That state becomes obsessive and it feels terrible. Men look for information about this because sometimes the possibility alone that everything might go back to how it was drives them insane. It doesn't even matter what the percentage is. Maybe there is a 3% chance the courier rings your doorbell, maybe 50%, maybe 98%. As long as there is a chance, there is a fear, there is a risk. And honestly, even if it were 98%, it would still make more sense to live based on today, not on probability. Yet I often see men cling to even the smallest chance, like it's a lottery ticket. So what if it works? What if I get lucky? In my opinion, there is only one practical and sane approach. If the appliance is already broken, you must completely remove the expectation of your delivery from your planning horizon. You deal with the inconvenience now. You adopt now. And here is the interesting part. If one day the doorbell actually rings and they bring it back, there is a high chance you won't even need it anymore. So you might think, yeah, I loved it, but it was unreliable, it kept breaking. Sure, I could use it today, but what about tomorrow? Do I really want to deal with this again? No matter what happens, you'll be in control, and that's powerful. Now, if you asked me, are there cases where it's immediately clear she'll never come back? Honestly, I don't know any. Early in my practice, when I first started working with people, I saw cases that were, frankly, a mess. Men sleeping in stairwells, absolute chaos. And even then, I was skeptical. I thought, no way this turns around. And I was surprised by how many of those stories still ended with that doorbell ring. Not quickly, sometimes a year and a half later, but it happened. There is another important detail. Men who aren't currently going through a breakup, even those who don't follow this kind of content, if you asked them hypothetically, would you ever try to get someone back? They would say that's pointless. But when a strong, successful, a good-looking man with his life together ends up in this emotional trap, he thinks very differently. That's just reality. Only those who've done serious internal work actually develop the ability not to want it anymore. Everyone else just talks about how they wouldn't chase. Often they are fooling themselves. I've seen it many times. But here is the most dangerous part. When a woman leaves you, the probability that she might come back, especially if you go no contact, is actually pretty high. It really is. And that creates a huge temptation. Why should I start this painful work Maria talks about? Why should I go through discomfort and rebuild my life if I can just hold on to hope and maybe it works out? That's the trap. And it slowly destroys you. Yes, there are many, endless strategies online now. Ignore her for a month, then text, then disappear again, then reconnect. I won't even comment on how effective that is. It's almost funny. But here is my question to you, like to real man. Are you actually comfortable doing that? She left. A month later, she texted, "How are you?" She didn't care how you were doing a month ago, but now she does. And you are going to respond because some article told you to. So, are you really ignoring your sense of dignity like that? If you lie to yourself in these moments, if you generally don't respect yourself, don't expect others to respect you either. It starts with basic honesty. So, today, right now, you need to remove all probability calculations from your head and step out of waiting mode. If you recognize that you are tempted to wait, but you are fighting it, good, I respect that. It doesn't matter if it takes 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. That's when you are actually changing, rewiring yourself. But if you allow yourself to sit and wait, then you are watching all this content for nothing. You started from self-deception. So, it's like when someone writes, I really need to get her back. What does really need even mean? Is there someone who just kind of needs it? When a man says that, he's highlighting his emotional dependency, which means he needs to walk away from the whole idea even more urgently. So unfortunately, many still don't see that. Another common thing. Men say they want to change their life, but often that desire is entirely tied to the woman. Scratch the surface and you'll see it's all for the ex. Yes, sometimes the motivation shifts during the process, but honestly, those cases are the minority. There is a substitution happening. I want to change. But you're not doing it for your own comfort, your own life. You are doing it so she notices. That's still dependency. So, what direction are we really changing it? It looks more like imitation than transformation. And I'm genuinely happy when I get messages like, I truly want to live differently. I'm ready to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. I want to be in a relationship where I'm loved, respected, valued, where I understand the dynamics and can predict the outcome. That's someone ready to act. And I hope there will be more and more people like that.